Okay, welcome back. We are doing, this is our mise en place for our vegetable soup. So we have our damp cloth underneath our cutting board that we used for prep. Everything is separated and in its bowls. Salt and pepper is to taste as per recipe. So we do have 1 tablespoon of butter, some fresh parsley, which is half a teaspoon of dried oregano, half cup celery, half a cup of onion, and a full cup of sliced carrots. We've got chicken broth, beef flavored broth as well. And yeah, now we're gonna start the process. Okay, here we go. So as per our recipe, which we have beside us with a pen and paper, you might hear a little squeaking because I've got the microwave open, so that way we can, so we need to melt butter. I think that's a little high, even though it says medium. I think that's a little high. We don't want to burn the butter. So we'll just take that off. It says it's on medium heat, but that's still a little hot. So we just turn that down a little bit. So we had 1 tablespoon of butter melted into a pot. And we are going to add our chopped onion and celery. Okay, so it says we're going to cook for about 5 minutes or until tender. And because this was a little hotter, it might not take the full 5 minutes. So making sure you're checking off your recipe as you go is a great way to stay organized. You can start to see the onions start to change color and become translucent. That is what we're looking for. And we don't want the celery to become soft and soggy. We want it still al dente before you put the other ingredients in. Just coming up on 2 minutes here. Just kind of paying attention to time as per the recipe. Those are starting to look good already. They're starting to change color. That's great. We don't want things to burn. So the next step of the ingredient, this is quite a simple ingredient or simple recipe to follow actually. We're going to be adding in the carrots, spices, and the rest of the soup ingredients. Okay, I think we're just about good. We're going to add our carrots in. It did call for sliced carrots, so that's why they look like the majority of base here. We have our half a teaspoon of oregano, half a teaspoon of parsley. Likes to stick to the bowl. And then we're going to add in our broths. a little stir. And then we'll add in the next broth. Making sure our handles are pushed all the way in. And let's make sure that everything is stirred well. Okay, so once in, it says bring to a boil and then simmer. So as we're waiting, it says bring the soup to a boil over high heat. Once boiled, we're going to reduce the heat to low and simmer for 20 minutes, allowing all the flavors to blend together. So this should not take long to bring to a boil. And then once we get to that, just so that we can see that demonstration, then we will pause the video while it simmers, and then we'll come back as well. You can start to see just little bits of action starting right in the middle. Right here, I just see little bits of that. So once that starts to happen, that doesn't take long. There we go, we've got some bubbling action starting. Perfect. Really doesn't take long to make these homemade items. Unfortunately, a lot of times we cook for convenience and we just buy the prepackaged ready to serve. But simple recipes like that are great for kids to learn at home how to make basic soups, and then you can add to it should you want, like a chicken noodle soup or a beef vegetable soup or whatever you want. Alrighty, here we go, getting some action. And we do have our recipe here right beside us, and that we've been checking off as we go, just to make sure that we're following. Probably start to hear that a little bit more than see what's happening. There we go. Now I can start to see some rising here with very little bubbling happening. And you want to make sure that you're watching how close, because it will quickly boil over if you're not paying attention. And you can hear that action. That is something that you want to make sure that you're paying attention to, and making sure that when we're doing it in the classroom setting, that somebody is always attending to your pot at this point. Because so many times I'm sure we've had in the kitchen where things boil over and just make a mess. There we go. I don't know if you can see in the video, you should be able to. Lots of bubbling, little bits of foaming coming up here, and you can see all of those bubbles. There we go. I'm just gonna let that go another 10 seconds maybe. There we go. Now we can see those bubbles forming. Okay. Bringing it to a boil means making sure that everything is consistent. Okay, we're going to turn that down to low and let that simmer for 20 minutes. And then we're going to come back and show you the final product. Okay, we're coming back. All right. So we have been simmering for 20 minutes, and this is looking mighty good. So we're going to take our ladle and serve. And there we have our final product. Let's take a look. Bring this over here. Here is our final product. As you can see, lots of our spices through there, lots of vegetables, so much goodness.